Have you ever stopped and asked yourself why you're not where you want to be right now? Why your goals still feel distant? Why your dreams whisper instead of roar? Why every day ends with a sense that time slipped through your fingers? The truth is, it's not because you lack talent, luck, or even desire. It's because discipline, the kind that shapes lives, not just routines, is missing. And the good news, discipline is not some mysterious trait reserved for the chosen few. It's a skill, a muscle you can build, strengthen, and own. But before you can wield it, you have to understand it. Most people confuse discipline with motivation. They wait for the rush of excitement, the surge of inspiration, the perfect moment when they feel ready to act. And while that moment feels magical, it is fleeting. Motivation comes and goes like the tide, and when it vanishes, most people vanish with it. That's why so many dreams are abandoned quietly, like unread letters left in a drawer waiting for a day that never comes. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't wait for feelings. Discipline acts even when the fire inside is weak, even when the day is long, even when doubt whispers that it's easier to quit. Discipline turns ordinary people into unshakable forces because it is not fueled by temporary emotion. It is forged in consistent action. Imagine what your life could look like if every decision aligned with your deepest goals. Every morning, every task, every choice made with purpose, not laziness. Imagine the satisfaction of knowing that you are no longer a prisoner of fleeting desire, no longer swayed by every distraction, no longer apologizing for wasted time. The sense of freedom that comes from this is profound, almost intoxicating. You begin to trust yourself, you begin to respect yourself, you begin to know with unwavering certainty that no challenge is too big because you are building a life that can handle it. This is the emotional reward waiting for you, the calm confidence of control, the quiet power of consistency, the unstoppable momentum of a life led intentionally. Every moment you spend understanding discipline, learning it, practicing it, compounds into something far greater than effort. It becomes identity. By the end of this journey, you will see that discipline is not a burden, it is liberation. It is not restriction, it is expansion. It is the bridge between where you are today and the life you have always imagined. And this first step right now is the hardest and the most important, because once you understand what true discipline really is, you will stop blaming circumstances, stop waiting for luck, and stop surrendering to fleeting impulses. You will start shaping your destiny with your own hands, one deliberate, courageous action at a time. This is not a promise, it is a choice. The choice to finally take control, to finally rise above excuses, to finally claim the power that has always been within you. And once you commit to this, everything changes. Your goals stop being distant stars and start being reachable milestones. Your potential stops being a vague idea and starts being unstoppable reality. This is where the journey begins, here and now, with the decision to take ownership of your life, to understand discipline, and to finally step into the person you were always meant to be. You might think that simply trying harder, forcing yourself to grit it out, is the way to build discipline. But the truth is, willpower alone will fail you. Every time you rely on sheer force of effort, you are betting against your biology, against the mental fatigue that builds with every choice you make, against the natural pull toward comfort and ease. Scientists call it decision fatigue, and it's why even the strongest among us crumble when life keeps testing our resolve. The harder you push without structure, without strategy, the quicker you burn out. This is not weakness. It is not failure. It is human. And understanding this is the first step toward mastery. Discipline is not about constantly battling yourself. It is about setting up your life so that the right choices become almost inevitable. It's about creating conditions where your energy, focus, and attention are aligned, where resistance is minimal and action flows naturally. Imagine waking up and moving through your day not as a series of exhausting battles against yourself, but as a series of deliberate steps toward a life you choose. The sense of power in that realization is electrifying. When you stop relying solely on willpower, you begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. Tasks that felt heavy and impossible start to feel manageable because you are no longer fighting an uphill mental battle. Instead, you are channeling your energy into a system that carries you forward. Every time you structure your environment, Every time you plan, every time you make small adjustments to reduce friction, you are compounding your strength. You are building a fortress around your focus. And the reward is profound. Freedom from the constant self-conflict that drains energy and kills momentum. You begin to realize that unbreakable discipline is not about endless struggle. It is about smart design, about knowing yourself and your limits, and about creating a path where success becomes the default. This is where true confidence comes from, not from a fleeting burst of motivation, but from the quiet, steady assurance that you have prepared yourself to act even when you feel tired, overwhelmed, or uncertain. The exhilaration of this awareness is subtle but powerful. No longer do you fear the days when motivation disappears because you know that discipline, built intelligently, carries you through. You start to understand that mastery over your choices is mastery over your life. Every small adjustment, every conscious decision to shape your environment and routines becomes a statement to yourself: I am in control. I am capable. I am committed. And as this realization sinks in, you feel something shift inside, a new clarity, a deeper energy, a sense that you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance or fleeting emotion. You are steering your own course and nothing can stop the momentum once it begins. This is the turning point where ordinary effort transforms into unstoppable force, where fatigue becomes irrelevant, where distractions lose their grip, where the life you have been imagining begins to move from a distant dream to a tangible reality. Willpower is not the enemy, misunderstanding it is. And once you understand how to work with your mind instead of against it, once you embrace the strategy behind discipline, you unlock a power that no momentary weakness can touch, a strength that carries you further than motivation ever could. The smallest victories are often the most powerful, yet we overlook them. Every time you resist a distraction, every time you choose action over comfort, every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you are winning. These wins may feel insignificant in the moment, but they are the building blocks of unstoppable momentum. Science shows that our brains crave accomplishment, even in small doses. Each success, no matter how minor, releases dopamine, the chemical that signals reward and reinforces behavior. This is why habits, when built deliberately, become automatic engines of progress. The key is to recognize that mastery is not forged in grand gestures or dramatic leaps. It is forged in consistent, deliberate actions repeated day after day. Every micro victory is a declaration: I am capable, I'm disciplined, I'm in charge of my life. The emotional impact of this cannot be overstated. When you start seeing progress in small, tangible steps, confidence grows. Doubt loses its voice. Fear becomes manageable. You begin to trust yourself in a way that no external validation can provide. These victories compound, silently reshaping your identity. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who tries or wants to achieve. You become someone who acts, who follows through, who conquers inertia because it has been done countless times before. And this is where true power emerges. You are no longer at the mercy of fleeting motivation or the chaos of circumstance. You're moving forward with purpose, and every tiny success propels you further than the last. The brain starts to crave this sense of accomplishment, and suddenly discipline does not feel like a struggle. It becomes an extension of who you are. Your actions align with your goals, and every choice reinforces the person you are becoming. Imagine the energy of waking up each day knowing that no matter how small the steps, you are building something unshakable. Imagine the freedom of a life where procrastination is no longer a pattern, where hesitation does not dictate your outcomes, where you are guided by momentum you have earned through consistent effort. The reward is both immediate and enduring, a sense of self-respect, inner confidence, and clarity that motivates further action. You begin to see that every tiny victory is a victory over weakness, over doubt, over the parts of yourself that once held you back. Each one is a confirmation that your dreams are not distant fantasies. They are achievable realities shaped by deliberate, consistent effort. And this is the essence of building unbreakable discipline. It is not dramatic. It is not flashy. It is not instantaneous. It is the relentless accumulation of small actions, each one reinforcing your power, your focus, your identity. Once you internalize this truth, every day becomes an opportunity, every task a stepping stone, every decision a chance to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Momentum builds, and with it comes a quiet but unyielding confidence. The knowledge that nothing can derail you because your discipline is now part of who you are. Each small win is no longer just an action. It is a declaration of unstoppable force, a promise to yourself that you will never settle for less than your potential. Your mornings are the foundation of everything. How you begin your day sets the tone for every choice, every action, every decision that follows. A disciplined morning is not about rigid routines or perfection. It is about claiming control before the world demands it from you. Studies show that structured mornings increase focus, reduce stress, and enhance productivity. But beyond research, the emotional impact is profound. When you start the day with intention, you feel powerful. You feel in charge. You are no longer reactive, drifting from task to task, subject to every distraction or impulse. Instead, you are deliberate. You are purposeful. You decide how your energy is spent. And in that moment, you begin to shape your life rather than letting life shape you. Imagine waking up and taking the first hour not scrolling endlessly through social media or hitting snooze for the third time, but moving, focusing, preparing yourself for the day. That small, consistent choice cascades. Every decision afterward carries the weight of that initial momentum. Your mind is clearer. Your energy is sharper. Your goals feel tangible rather than distant. The emotional reward is immediate, a sense of accomplishment before the day even truly begins. This is not about creating a perfect morning. It is about creating a morning that builds your confidence, your focus, your identity. Every disciplined morning reinforces who you are becoming. Someone capable of consistency, someone unshakable, someone who acts even when motivation fades. And the power of this ripples outward. A focused morning strengthens your ability to resist distractions. It improves your patience. It fuels resilience because you have already proven to yourself that you can prioritize what matters most. Each action taken early in the day is a reinforcement of your own strength. Over time, this transforms not just your days, but your mindset. You no longer start mornings with hesitation, doubt, or excuses. You start with clarity, purpose, and momentum. And that momentum becomes unstoppable because it is built on repeated, deliberate choices. Discipline is no longer an abstract idea. It is visible, tangible, and alive in every action you take. You begin to understand that freedom does not come from laziness, indulgence, or waiting for the perfect moment. Freedom comes from structure, from preparation, from the conscious choice to honor yourself and your goals before the world demands it. Every morning you commit to discipline, you are proving that you are capable of more than excuses, more than distractions, more than the comfort that keeps most people stagnant. You are claiming mastery over your own life, one action at a time. And the more you reinforce this, the easier it becomes because your body, your mind, and your identity start to align with the person you are determined to become. Soon, discipline is no longer a struggle. It is an integral part of who you are. Your mornings are no longer hours that pass without intention. They are powerful, transformative rituals that ignite energy, focus, and purpose for the rest of your day. Every morning you commit is a victory, and every victory strengthens a foundation of unbreakable discipline that will carry you through every challenge, every decision, every obstacle that stands between you and the life you have always envisioned. Growth does not happen in comfort. Every step toward mastery, every ounce of strength, every measure of discipline comes from facing what you would rather avoid. Your mind is wired to seek ease, to escape challenge, to cling to what is familiar. But true transformation lives on the other side of discomfort. Every time you resist the urge to quit, every time you confront fear, fatigue, or resistance, you are reshaping your identity. You are proving to yourself that you are stronger than hesitation, braver than doubt, and more capable than you imagine. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are growing, that you are expanding, that you are forging resilience. The emotional payoff is enormous. When you embrace challenges instead of running from them, you gain a quiet confidence that no setback can shake. You begin to see obstacles, not as threats, but as opportunities to strengthen your mind, sharpen your focus, and deepen your resolve. Every struggle you face becomes a test, and every test you pass becomes proof of your capability. The more you expose yourself to what is difficult, the more automatic discipline becomes. It stops being a daily struggle and starts being a part of who you are. Imagine the power of knowing that discomfort no longer terrifies you, that uncertainty no longer paralyzes you, that resistance only fuels your determination. Every moment you choose the path of challenge, you reinforce a new identity, one that is unstoppable, unshakable, unbreakable. And this is not theoretical. Neuroscience shows that the brain grows stronger through stress and deliberate effort. Every time you push through, you literally rewire your mind to handle greater intensity, to tolerate frustration, and to keep going when others quit. This is the secret of unbreakable discipline. It thrives not in ease, but in deliberate struggle. It is forged through daily choices to face what is hard, to endure when the mind screams for comfort, to persist when the body demands rest. The reward is a life where fear has less control, where excuses carry no weight, and where momentum becomes your constant companion. You begin to act before motivation arrives, because action itself has become your habit. Every uncomfortable step becomes a statement. I'm not defined by fear. I'm not limited by doubt. I'm committed to the person I'm becoming. And as you internalize this, you feel something profound shift inside, a deep-seated resilience, a quiet strength, a sense of mastery that does not depend on external validation. Discomfort stops being your enemy. It becomes your teacher, your guide, your ally in the relentless pursuit of excellence. Every time you lean into what challenges you, you prove that your limits are not fixed. You prove that discipline is not a temporary act of will, but a permanent state of being. And when life throws resistance, obstacles, or chaos in your path, you face it with the calm certainty of someone who has chosen struggle as a path to power, someone who has learned that unbreakable discipline is built, strengthened, and solidified through the courage to endure what others avoid. Motivation is a fleeting flame, bright one moment and gone the next. Too many people wait for it, hoping it will appear before they act, hoping it will carry them to the results they desire. But motivation is not a reliable guide. It comes and goes with moods, circumstances, and fleeting emotions. And if you rely on it, you will always be at the mercy of forces outside your control. Discipline, however, does not depend on feeling inspired. Discipline acts regardless of circumstance, regardless of how tired, doubtful, or uncertain you feel. This is the profound difference that separates those who succeed from those who endlessly dream without moving. You cannot wait to feel ready. There will never be a perfect day, a perfect mood, or a perfect moment. There is only the present and the choices you make within it. Action is the antidote to waiting. Every time you act without waiting for motivation, you strengthen a muscle that cannot be taken away. You prove to yourself in tangible, undeniable ways that you are committed to your goals. This builds confidence that no external validation can provide. The emotional reward is deep and immediate. The satisfaction of control, the surge of inner power, the clarity that comes from aligning your actions with your intentions. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a fire you build. And a fire, once constructed, sustains itself through storms, through fatigue, through every obstacle that would extinguish mere inspiration. Imagine the liberation of knowing that you do not need to feel ready to begin, that you do not need a surge of emotion to take the next step, that you have trained yourself to act consistently, deliberately, and effectively. Every action, no matter how small, compounds into momentum that carries you forward. Every decision to act without waiting reinforces your identity as someone who does not procrastinate, someone who moves, someone who conquers inertia before it conquers them. The science is clear. Behavior repeated consistently rewires the brain. Every act of deliberate action becomes easier. Every subsequent choice becomes more natural. And what once required effort becomes automatic. Discipline becomes your default. You stop being reactive. You start being deliberate. You start leading your life instead of drifting through it. And this is where true transformation occurs. When you act without relying on motivation, you no longer live at the mercy of circumstances. You become a force that shapes circumstances. You become unstoppable because your power comes from within, from habits, from deliberate choices, from an identity anchored in action. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not those who feel inspired. They are those who have built a system of action that moves them forward, no matter how they feel. Every time you act without waiting, you strengthen that system. Every time you act, you reinforce that identity. Every time you choose action over hesitation, you claim ownership of your life. Motivation will never be enough. It is fleeting, unreliable, and inconsistent. But discipline, once built, once internalized, sustains you in every moment, through every challenge, through every setback. And that is the power you are learning to claim, the power to act, to move, to grow, to become the person who does not wait, who does not hesitate, who refuses to be held back by fleeting feelings. This is the essence of unbreakable discipline, acting not because you feel like it, but because you have chosen to become unstoppable. Habits are the invisible architecture of your life. They shape your actions, your decisions, and ultimately who you become. Every behavior you repeat, every action you take consistently, rewires your brain, creating pathways that make certain choices automatic. The power of habits lies in their compounding effect. One small deliberate action done consistently becomes the foundation of transformation. Your brain craves efficiency, and once a habit is established, it no longer requires constant willpower to perform. This is why focusing on habits is far more powerful than relying on fleeting motivation or sporadic effort. Every habit you cultivate is a statement about the person you are becoming. Every time you choose consistency over convenience, you are proving to yourself that your goals are more important than temporary comfort. Imagine waking up each day and without thinking, moving through actions that align with your highest aspirations. Your body and mind automatically respond in ways that reinforce your progress. The emotional impact is profound. You begin to trust yourself in ways you never thought possible. Doubt diminishes, confidence rises. Momentum becomes unstoppable because it is no longer dependent on effort alone. It is supported by the very structure of your behavior. Habits are not formed overnight. They are forged through repetition, patience, and conscious decision-making. Every time you fail, every time you stumble, it is not a sign of weakness. It is a signal that the habit is still being built. Each reset, each continuation strengthens your neural pathways, making success more automatic the next time. And this is where unbreakable discipline emerges. It is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about choosing, moment after moment, to align your actions with your identity, even when progress feels slow or invisible. The people who achieve extraordinary results are those who master this invisible force. They understand that transformation is not an event. It is a process built through consistent habits that compound into extraordinary outcomes. Imagine the liberation of knowing that your actions are guided by an internal system you have built, one that does not rely on fleeting willpower, one that operates whether you feel motivated or tired. Every small, deliberate habit is a brick in the foundation of your success. Each choice to follow through reinforces your identity, your confidence, and your capacity for action. Over time, these habits accumulate, creating momentum that carries you forward even when circumstances are difficult, even when challenges arise, even when doubt whispers that giving up is easier. The compounding effect is unstoppable because it is rooted in your consistent behavior, your deliberate action, and your unwavering commitment to become the person you aspire to be. Habits are more than routines, they are declarations of who you are. Each repetition strengthens not only your mind and body, but also your resolve, your focus, and your ability to act without hesitation. This is the secret power behind unbreakable discipline. It is not external pressure. It is not fleeting inspiration. It is the internal structure you build, the habits you nurture, the actions you repeat until they define you. And when this happens, your life begins to move effortlessly toward your goals because your identity, your mind, and your actions are finally aligned, unstoppable, and unshakable. Discipline begins with self-awareness. You cannot master what you do not see. Every temptation, every moment of procrastination, every impulse to quit carries a message about yourself. Your habits, your reactions, your patterns, they reveal who you are when no one is watching. Becoming aware of these patterns is not about judgment or shame. It is about truth. The moment you understand your triggers, your weaknesses, your strengths, you gain the ability to choose differently. Psychology shows that self-awareness is one of the most powerful predictors of success. It allows you to step outside of automatic reactions and act consciously, deliberately, intentionally. Imagine being able to notice when you are drifting toward old destructive habits and choosing to act in alignment with your goals instead. The emotional reward is profound. You feel in control, present, and capable. You feel a clarity that cuts through confusion, a focus that penetrates distraction, a calm power that steadies you in the chaos of life. Self-awareness turns every challenge into an opportunity. Every moment of resistance becomes a mirror reflecting where growth is possible. You begin to see yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as a force capable of steering your own life. Journaling, reflection, mindfulness. These are not mere practices, they are tools of mastery. They train your mind to observe without reacting, to understand without judgment, to choose without hesitation. Each time you notice a weakness, a habit, or a limiting belief, you have the opportunity to change it, to redirect your energy toward who you want to become. The transformation that comes from this awareness is profound because it is internal. It is not dependent on external validation or fleeting motivation. It is rooted in understanding yourself, in seeing the invisible patterns that govern your behavior, and in choosing deliberately to act in alignment with your highest goals. Every choice made from awareness strengthens the neural pathways that create lasting change. Every deliberate action reshapes your identity, reinforcing the truth that you are capable, resilient, and committed. And as self-awareness grows, so does discipline. You begin to recognize that every decision, no matter how small, is a test of your character. You begin to notice where you give your power away and take it back with intention. You begin to act before distraction, before fear, before doubt has a chance to sway you. This is where true mastery is forged, in the quiet observation of your own mind, in the relentless correction, of course, and the unwavering commitment to becoming the person you aspire to be. Awareness alone is not enough, but it is the spark that ignites transformation. Once you see clearly, you can act deliberately. Once you act deliberately, you build habits, momentum, and confidence. And once these align, discipline is no longer a struggle, it is your nature. It becomes automatic, unshakable, unstoppable. Every choice made with awareness is a brick in the foundation of your unbreakable self, a proof of your ability to rise above instinct, fear, and convenience. Self-awareness turns every moment into a chance for mastery, every challenge into an opportunity to strengthen your resolve, and every action into a declaration: I am in control, I am capable, I am disciplined. Your environment shapes you far more than you realize. Every object, every sound, every person around you influences your decisions, your focus, and your energy. Science shows that surroundings dictate behavior more than sheer willpower ever can. Distractions, clutter, negative influences, they silently erode your capacity for discipline. But the reverse is equally true. A carefully designed environment can make good choices almost effortless. Every element you control, your workspace, your routines, the people you surround yourself with, becomes a tool of empowerment. Imagine entering a space that naturally draws you toward focus, creativity, and action. Every item, every sound, every interaction is aligned with your goals, reinforcing the person you are striving to become. The emotional effect is immediate. You feel calm, centered, and capable. You feel the tension of decision-making dissolve because the path of action is clear and unobstructed. Discipline is no longer a daily struggle against chaos. It is a natural extension of your surroundings. Each choice to optimize your environment is a choice to reinforce your identity. When you remove distractions, when you align your space with your intentions, you reduce friction. You no longer waste energy fighting against your impulses because your environment has been designed to support the actions that matter most. This is where small changes yield massive results. A clean workspace, a focused schedule, supportive relationships, and the right digital boundaries compound over time into extraordinary discipline. Every adjustment strengthens the neural pathways of automatic action, making focus and consistency easier to achieve. The liberation that comes from this is profound. You begin to realize that your surroundings are not neutral. They are either allies or obstacles. By taking control, you reclaim energy, clarity, and willpower that was previously squandered. Your choices become deliberate. Your habits become easier. Your momentum becomes unstoppable. This is why people with extraordinary discipline do not simply rely on motivation or willpower. They design their lives to make success inevitable. The environment becomes a silent partner in every victory, reinforcing consistency, focus, and progress. The emotional payoff is immense. The stress of constant self-control diminishes, replaced by the calm confidence of knowing that your surroundings are on your side. You feel unstoppable because your life has been structured to support action, not resistance. Every step toward optimizing your environment is a step toward mastery. Every decision to remove friction, eliminate distractions, and surround yourself with what strengthens you is a reinforcement of your identity as someone who acts, who perseveres, who achieves. Over time, these adjustments compound into a life where discipline is automatic, almost effortless, because every element of your surroundings reinforces your focus and purpose. And as this alignment grows, you begin to see clearly that external structure is not a crutch. It is leverage. It multiplies your energy, magnifies your will, and supports the habits that turn ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Your environment is no longer neutral. It is your ally. It is your partner. It is the foundation upon which unbreakable discipline is built. By shaping it deliberately, you shape yourself, creating a life where action, consistency, and focus are the natural, unstoppable outcome of every choice, every moment, every day. Learning to delay gratification is one of the most powerful skills you can cultivate. The temptation of instant pleasure, of quick fixes, of shortcuts is relentless. Every day, countless opportunities to give in to comfort or indulgence appear, and every time you yield, you reinforce weakness instead of strength. But when you practice patience, when you choose long-term rewards over immediate satisfaction, you are building more than self-control. You are building a life that cannot be derailed by fleeting impulses. Research shows that those who master delayed gratification consistently outperform those who chase temporary pleasure. The ability to wait, to resist, to endure discomfort for the sake of something greater rewires your mind to value what truly matters. Imagine the freedom of no longer being enslaved by impulse, the calm power of knowing that you can control your responses and that every choice you make is aligned with your deepest goals. The emotional payoff is profound: confidence, clarity, and the satisfaction of knowing that your decisions are deliberate, not reactive. Each time you resist, you strengthen the neural pathways of self-discipline, making future resistance easier and more automatic. Delayed gratification is not about denial. It is about prioritization. It is about aligning your actions with your vision of who you want to be. Every sacrifice you make, every temptation you resist, every moment you choose patience over instant pleasure is a brick in the foundation of unbreakable discipline. This is where courage intersects with strategy. It takes courage to wait, to endure discomfort, to hold fast to your long-term vision when the immediate world screams for surrender. And each act of courage reinforces your identity, reshaping who you are at your core. The extraordinary life you desire is built on the accumulation of these choices. Every delayed indulgence, every resisted distraction, every commitment to long-term gain compounds into momentum that cannot be stopped. Your self-respect grows, your focus sharpens, your resolve becomes impenetrable because you have trained your mind to value what truly matters and to act accordingly. Imagine looking back on your life and realizing that the small sacrifices you made consistently created extraordinary results. Every act of patience, every deliberate choice to endure discomfort, every moment of saying no to what is easy but unimportant becomes proof of your strength, your commitment, and your discipline. And once this mindset is internalized, waiting, resisting, enduring, all the things that once felt like limitations become sources of power. Your ability to delay gratification ensures that no fleeting pleasure can derail you, no temptation can pull you off course, and no challenge can shake your momentum. Each decision to prioritize long-term value over short-term ease strengthens your identity, reinforces your habits, and compounds into a life defined by purpose, focus, and unstoppable progress. This is the essence of self-mastery, the ability to act in alignment with your highest goals, even when immediate satisfaction beckons. Is not just a skill, it is a declaration. I am in control. I am committed. I am disciplined. Your inner dialogue is the most powerful force shaping your reality. Every thought you allow to dominate your mind becomes a decision, a habit, and eventually a pattern of behavior. Negative self-talk, doubt, and fear quietly sabotage your discipline, eroding momentum before action even begins. But the reverse is equally true. Empowering, focused, intentional thoughts reinforce strength, commitment, and unwavering resolve. Neuroscience shows that the brain does not distinguish between imagined and real experiences. Every thought you feed repeatedly rewires your neural pathways, shaping identity and behavior. Imagine the impact of choosing thoughts that serve your growth, that fuel your actions, that anchor you in your highest intentions. The emotional effect is transformative. Confidence rises, fear diminishes, momentum accelerates because your mind, once fragmented by self-doubt, becomes a powerful ally, directing every choice toward purpose rather than distraction. Discipline begins internally. It begins in the silent conversations you have with yourself when no one else is listening. Every time you replace a limiting belief with a truth-based affirmation, every time you challenge negative thoughts with deliberate focus, you are exercising the same muscle that builds consistency, resilience, and mastery. Your internal dialogue becomes the foundation of unbreakable discipline, guiding your actions, reinforcing your habits, and shaping the very identity from which all progress flows. Imagine approaching every challenge with a mind that supports you rather than undermines you. Obstacles that once triggered hesitation now ignite determination. Tasks that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable because your mental framework aligns with action, purpose, and focus. The emotional reward is immediate and profound, a sense of alignment, clarity, and power that sustains you through moments of doubt, distraction, and fatigue. This is where transformation occurs. When you control your internal dialogue, you control the lens through which every experience is filtered. You stop giving energy to fear and uncertainty. You stop being derailed by hesitation. Every thought becomes intentional. Every decision becomes deliberate. Every action becomes an expression of your chosen identity. The people who achieve extraordinary discipline are those who master this invisible force. They understand that thoughts precede action and that the quality of their inner dialogue determines the quality of their lives. Every self-criticism reframed, every doubt confronted, every negative thought replaced with intentional focus compounds into a momentum that drives consistent, unstoppable action. Your internal narrative becomes a source of power rather than limitation. And as this mindset strengthens, it seeps into every facet of your life. Every choice, every habit, every moment of endurance is reinforced by the strength of your thoughts. Your mind, once scattered and reactive, becomes sharp, focused, and aligned with your highest goals. The energy you once wasted battling internal resistance is now available to propel you forward. This is not abstract theory. It is practical, measurable, and transformative. Your inner dialogue is the foundation of discipline, the engine of momentum, and the blueprint of the person you are becoming. Master it, and nothing can stop the flow of your progress. Each thought becomes a declaration. I am capable. I am focused. I am unstoppable. Procrastination is the silent thief of potential. Every moment you delay, every task you push aside, every excuse you tell yourself steals energy, confidence, and momentum. It convinces you that there's always more time, that action can wait, that tomorrow will be easier. But tomorrow is uncertain. Waiting erodes possibility. Discipline demands action, even when hesitation whispers that it is easier to wait. The psychology behind procrastination is clear. Fear, perfectionism, and overwhelm paralyze the mind. The longer you wait, the stronger the resistance becomes, and the more impossible the task feels. But the antidote is simple and powerful. Start. Action creates momentum. It breaks the cycle of inertia. It rewires your brain to associate effort with progress rather than anxiety. Every small step forward builds confidence, reduces fear, and opens a path where once there was only delay. Imagine the liberation of taking a single action now, no matter how small, and feeling the weight of hesitation lift. That moment of movement ignites energy that carries you to the next step and the next, until momentum becomes unstoppable. The emotional impact is immediate: relief, empowerment, clarity, and the intoxicating sense of possibility restored. Discipline thrives on this principle. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to have the entire plan figured out. You simply need to start, to commit to one action, to break the cycle that keeps you stuck. Every deliberate act of starting, no matter how imperfect, trains your mind to act before doubt, to push before fear, and to move before hesitation paralyzes you. Over time, this builds a self-reinforcing pattern. Starting becomes easier, progress becomes visible, and procrastination loses its grip. Every task completed is a victory. Every action taken is proof of your capacity. And every moment you resist delay is a brick in the foundation of unbreakable discipline. Imagine looking back and realizing that every goal you achieved, every barrier you overcame, every success you claimed began with the courage to start despite fear, uncertainty, and discomfort. This is where ordinary effort transforms into extraordinary results. Procrastination is defeated not by waiting for courage, but by creating it through action. Momentum does not wait for perfection. It is built through movement, through repeated effort, and through the refusal to surrender to hesitation. Each time you act against procrastination, you strengthen identity, reinforce confidence, and create unstoppable momentum that carries into every area of your life. Your capacity to start, to engage, and to persist becomes a defining feature of who you are. The cycle of delay is replaced with the rhythm of action. Fear is replaced with empowerment. Uncertainty is replaced with clarity. Momentum becomes your constant companion because you have chosen to act, to move, and to build your life step by step, no matter how overwhelming it feels. Discipline is not a state of waiting. It is a state of doing. Every second you act, you reclaim energy, purpose, and control. Every second you wait, you surrender power to doubt, fear, and hesitation. The choice is yours, and each deliberate action is proof that you are unstoppable. Resilience is the backbone of discipline. Life will challenge you. Obstacles will appear. Setbacks will test your resolve. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary results and those who falter is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It is the capacity to persist. Resilience allows you to face adversity without surrendering. It transforms obstacles into training grounds, difficulties into opportunities, and failure into fuel for growth. Every challenge endured, every setback overcome, strengthens the mental muscles that support unbreakable discipline. Neuroscience shows that repeated exposure to manageable stress strengthens neural pathways, making you more capable of handling greater challenges. Imagine the empowerment of viewing every difficulty not as a threat, but as a chance to grow stronger, sharper, and more capable. The emotional impact is profound. Fear diminishes, confidence grows, momentum accelerates because you no longer view resistance as a signal to stop, but as a signal to rise. Resilience is built through action, through persistence, through refusing to let circumstances dictate your trajectory. Each time you recover from a setback, each time you push forward when it would be easier to quit, you are reinforcing your identity as someone who perseveres, who overcomes, who refuses to be defeated. Discipline becomes unstoppable because it is not dependent on smooth paths or perfect conditions. It thrives precisely in the presence of adversity, where determination is tested and resolve is forged. Imagine waking up each day knowing that no matter what comes, you have the strength to endure, adapt, and overcome. That confidence fuels every decision, strengthens every habit, empowers every action. Setbacks no longer feel like failures. They feel like feedback, data, and practice for mastery. Each challenge conquered becomes a proof point. I am capable. I am strong. I am committed. The emotional reward is deep and lasting, a sense of inner power, control, and certainty that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Resilience is not a trait you are born with. It is a skill you build deliberately, one choice, one action, one moment of endurance at a time. Every time you face discomfort, overcome resistance, or push through doubt, you are training your mind, body, and identity to become unshakable. Ordinary people give in to fear, frustration, and failure. Those who master discipline use these moments to grow stronger, to accelerate progress, and to reinforce their identity as unstoppable. Resilience ensures that momentum does not die when conditions become difficult. It allows you to recover, adapt, and continue forward with renewed strength. Each challenge you endure adds another layer of power to your discipline. Each obstacle you overcome confirms that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. And as resilience becomes part of your identity, discipline becomes automatic. You no longer fear failure because you have learned to convert it into growth. You no longer hesitate because you trust your capacity to endure. Momentum becomes your constant companion because every challenge, every setback, every difficulty is now fuel for progress rather than an excuse for surrender. This is the essence of unbreakable discipline, the ability to persist, to adapt, and to rise stronger every single time life tests you. Focus is the engine that transforms effort into results. Without it, energy dissipates, intentions scatter, and progress slows to a crawl. Every distraction you allow, every divided attention, chips away at momentum, undermines your discipline, and keeps your potential locked behind noise and clutter. The ability to concentrate deeply on what truly matters is a superpower that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Research shows that focused effort, even for short bursts, produces exponentially better results than scattered, inconsistent work. Imagine the power of directing your full attention to a single task, immersing yourself in it completely, and pushing through resistance until it is done. The emotional reward is profound, clarity, satisfaction, and a surge of confidence that comes from knowing that your energy is aligned with purpose. Focus is not passive, it is deliberate. It is a decision to prioritize the important over the trivial, the essential over the distracting, the long-term over the immediate. Every time you eliminate distractions, set boundaries, and commit to deep work, you are strengthening the neural pathways that enable sustained attention. This builds a mental resilience that carries over into every aspect of your life. The more you practice focus, the easier it becomes, and the more natural sustained discipline feels. Every deliberate choice to concentrate on what matters compounds, creating unstoppable momentum. Focus transforms overwhelm into clarity. Tasks that once felt impossible become manageable. Progress that once felt slow accelerates because your energy is no longer divided. Your mind, once scattered, becomes precise, aligned, and powerful. Imagine approaching each day with a laser-sharp mind that prioritizes what matters most, that ignores noise, that acts decisively and effectively. The emotional impact is immediate. Stress diminishes, confidence grows, and motivation is reinforced not by fleeting feelings, but by tangible progress. Focus also protects your energy. Every moment spent scattered or distracted is energy lost, potential wasted, momentum slowed. But every moment spent concentrated multiplies your effectiveness, reinforces your identity as someone who acts with intention, and compounds results that were once impossible to imagine. Discipline and focus are inseparable. You cannot be disciplined without the ability to concentrate, and your capacity for focus is strengthened by deliberate, consistent practice. Each time you resist distraction, each time you commit fully to the task at hand, you are reshaping your identity as someone who achieves, someone who acts, someone who does not let circumstances, temptations, or fatigue dictate outcomes. Over time, focus becomes instinctive. Your mind naturally prioritizes, your attention naturally sharpens, and your actions naturally align with purpose. Momentum becomes automatic because your energy is no longer fragmented, it is concentrated, directed, and unstoppable. Focus is the bridge between intention and achievement, the mechanism through which discipline manifests in results. Every deliberate choice to focus, to eliminate noise, to act with clarity, compounds into a life of purpose, control, and unshakable momentum. This is the power you claim when you train your mind to concentrate, effortless action, unwavering progress, and the certainty that nothing can derail you because your attention, your energy, and your will are aligned toward what truly matters. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself why you're not where you want to be right now? Why your goals still feel distant? Why your dreams whisper instead of roar? Why every day ends with a sense that time slipped through your fingers? The truth is, it's not because you lack talent, luck, or even desire. It's because discipline, the kind that shapes lives, not just routines, is missing. And the good news? Discipline is not some mysterious trait reserved for the chosen few. It's a skill, a muscle you can build, strengthen, and own. But before you can wield it, you have to understand it. Most people confuse discipline with motivation. They wait for the rush of excitement, the surge of inspiration, the perfect moment when they feel ready to act. And while that moment feels magical, it is fleeting. Motivation comes and goes like the tide, and when it vanishes, most people vanish with it. That's why so many dreams are abandoned quietly, like unread letters left in a drawer, waiting for a day that never comes. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't wait for feelings. Discipline acts even when the fire inside is weak, even when the day is long, even when doubt whispers that it's easier to quit. Discipline turns ordinary people into unshakable forces because it is not fueled by temporary emotion. It is forged in consistent action. Imagine what your life could look like if every decision aligned with your deepest goals. Every morning, every task, every choice made with purpose, not laziness. Imagine the satisfaction of knowing that you are no longer a prisoner of fleeting desire, no longer swayed by every distraction, no longer apologizing for wasted time. The sense of freedom that comes from this is profound, almost intoxicating. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to respect yourself. You begin to know with unwavering certainty that no challenge is too big because you are building a life that can handle it. This is the emotional reward waiting for you. The calm confidence of control, the quiet power of consistency, the unstoppable momentum of a life led intentionally. Every moment you spend understanding discipline, learning it, practicing it, compounds into something far greater than effort. It becomes identity. By the end of this journey, you will see that discipline is not a burden. It is liberation. It is not restriction. It is expansion. It is the bridge between where you are today and the life you have always imagined. And this first step right now is the hardest and the most important, because once you understand what true discipline really is, you will stop blaming circumstances, stop waiting for luck, and stop surrendering to fleeting impulses. You will start shaping your destiny with your own hands, one deliberate, courageous action at a time. This is not a promise. It is a choice. The choice to finally take control, to finally rise above excuses, to finally claim the power that has always been within you. And once you commit to this, everything changes. Your goals stop being distant stars and start being reachable milestones. Your potential stops being a vague idea and starts being an unstoppable reality. This is where the journey begins. Here and now, with the decision to take ownership of your life, to understand discipline, and to finally step into the person you were always meant to be. You might think that simply trying harder, forcing yourself to grit it out, is the way to build discipline. But the truth is, willpower alone will fail you. Every time you rely on sheer force of effort, you are betting against your biology, against the mental fatigue that builds with every choice you make, against the natural pull toward comfort and ease. Scientists call it decision fatigue. And it is why even the strongest among us crumble when life keeps testing our resolve. The harder you push without structure, without strategy, the quicker you burn out. This is not weakness. It is not failure. It is human. And understanding this is the first step toward mastery. Discipline is not about constantly battling yourself. It is about setting up your life so that the right choices become almost inevitable. It is about creating conditions where your energy, focus, and attention are aligned, where resistance is minimal and action flows naturally. Imagine waking up and moving through your day, not as a series of exhausting battles against yourself, but as a series of deliberate steps toward a life you choose. The sense of power in that realization is electrifying. When you stop relying solely on willpower, you begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. Tasks that felt heavy and impossible start to feel manageable because you are no longer fighting an uphill mental battle. Instead, you are channeling your energy into a system that carries you forward. Every time you structure your environment, every time you plan, every time you make small adjustments to reduce friction, you are compounding your strength. You are building a fortress around your focus. And the reward is profound. Freedom from the constant self-conflict that drains energy and kills momentum. You begin to realize that unbreakable discipline is not about endless struggle. It is about smart design, about knowing yourself and your limits, and about creating a path where success becomes the default. This is where true confidence comes from, not from a fleeting burst of motivation, but from the quiet, steady assurance that you have prepared yourself to act even when you feel tired, overwhelmed, or uncertain. The exhilaration of this awareness is subtle but powerful. No longer do you fear the days when motivation disappears because you know that discipline, built intelligently, carries you through. You start to understand that mastery over your choices is mastery over your life. Every small adjustment, every conscious decision to shape your environment and routines becomes a statement to yourself: I am in control, I am capable, I am committed. And as this realization sinks in, you feel something shift inside, a new clarity, a deeper energy, a sense that you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance or fleeting emotion. You are steering your own course, and nothing can stop the momentum once it begins. This is the turning point where ordinary effort transforms into unstoppable force, where fatigue becomes irrelevant, where distractions lose their grip, where the life you have been imagining begins to move from a distant dream to a tangible reality. Willpower is not the enemy, misunderstanding it is. And once you understand how to work with your mind instead of against it, once you embrace the strategy behind discipline, you unlock a power that no momentary weakness can touch, a strength that carries you further than motivation ever could. The smallest victories are often the most powerful, yet we overlook them. Every time you resist a distraction, every time you choose action over comfort, every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you are winning. These wins may feel insignificant in the moment, but they are the building blocks of unstoppable momentum. Science shows that our brains crave accomplishment, even in small doses. Each success, no matter how minor, releases dopamine, the chemical that signals reward and reinforces behavior.